March 11th, 2026. The global economy wakes up to a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. In the narrow waters of the Strait of Hormuz, three merchant vessels drift in smoke and flame. The Maritime, the One Majesty, and the Star Gwyneth. All three have been struck by what early reports call unknown projectiles. Crews scramble into lifeboats as black smoke rolls across the horizon. Rescue vessels from the Omani Navy rush toward the burning ships, pulling sailors from oil-stained water. Within minutes, the financial world begins to react. Oil futures surge. Analysts scramble to explain what has just happened. Because the Strait of Hormuz is not just another shipping route. It is the narrow gateway through which nearly 20% of the world's oil supply flows every single day. When something goes wrong here, the entire global economy feels it immediately. For decades, military strategists have warned about this exact scenario. Iran has long held the ability to close the Strait of Hormuz like a vice tightening around the throat of global energy. Not with nuclear weapons, but with geography. With missiles hidden in coastal mountains. With mines laid across shipping lanes. With fast attack boats and warships positioned to harass any vessel that tries to pass through. On March 11th, that threat finally becomes reality. Iranian officials make it clear that the attacks on the tankers are not accidents. They are a message. A signal that the uneasy calm that once existed in the region has collapsed. Within hours, insurers begin suspending coverage for ships traveling through the strait. Major shipping companies start rerouting vessels thousands of miles around Africa. The world's most important maritime artery begins to choke. In Washington, the response is immediate and uncompromising. The United States issues an ultimatum: remove the mines, halt the attacks, and restore free navigation through the strait. If Iran refuses, it will face consequences on a scale not seen before in the region. Tehran refuses. Within hours, Operation Epic Fury begins. Airstrikes hammer Iranian coastal installations. Naval bases erupt in fire as precision missiles destroy mine-laying ships still tied to their docks. Surveillance satellites watch as entire classes of Iranian patrol vessels are wiped out before they even leave port. The opening wave of the operation is relentless, designed to break the blockade before it can fully take hold. But despite the destruction along the coast, one threat survives in open water. A single Iranian surface combatant. The Iris Dina. Unlike most vessels in Iran's navy, the Dina is built specifically for anti-submarine warfare. Its sensors, helicopters, and sonar systems are designed to hunt the very weapon the United States relies on most beneath the sea: the attack submarine. If the Dina survives long enough to locate one of those submarines, it could shift the balance of the entire operation. And somewhere in the dark waters of the Indian Ocean, an American submarine is already hunting it. "400 feet below the surface, inside a Los Angeles-class attack submarine. The crew moves through dim red lighting. The ocean outside is silent and black. Inside, every movement is deliberate. Voices stay low. The air smells faintly of machinery and recycled oxygen. The sonar room is the heart of the hunt. Sailors sit in front of glowing displays, headphones pressed tightly over their ears. They're not searching with radar or cameras. They're listening, because underwater, sound travels farther than sight. The submarine is operating in passive mode. That means it sends out no sonar signals of its own. It simply listens to the ocean. Cargo ships, fishing vessels, distant storms, even a constant crackling of shrimp colonies snapping their claws. Somewhere inside that ocean of noise is the sound they're searching for. The engines of the Iris Dina. When the sonar team finally detects it, the signal appears as a thin green line sliding slowly across the display. It confirms what they suspected. The target is nearby. But detecting a sound is only the beginning. Passive sonar reveals direction, not distance. The submarine can hear where the Dina is, but it cannot immediately tell how far away it is. To solve this problem, the crew begins target motion analysis. Over time, the submarine gathers multiple bearings while maneuvering through the water. Computers track how the angles change and slowly calculate the target's course, speed, and range. But the captain of the Dina is not making things easy. The Iranian warship is zigzagging through the ocean. Sudden turns, changes in speed, unpredictable maneuvers. Every time the submarine begins to build a reliable firing solution, the Dina shifts course again. The calculations collapse. The process begins all over. Inside the sonar room, the technicians keep working, slowly feeding new data into the system, waiting for the math to settle. Time, however, is running out. The submarine is currently hiding beneath a thermocline, a layer of water where temperature changes sharply with depth. That layer bends sound waves, creating a natural acoustic shield that helps conceal the submarine from sonar above. But the ocean is changing. The thermocline is thinning. Within several hours, it may disappear entirely. When that happens, the submarine will suddenly become far easier to detect. Above the surface, the Dina carries another danger. A Sea King helicopter equipped with dipping sonar. If the helicopter launches and lowers its sonar directly into the water, it can listen beneath the thermocline and expose the submarine's hiding place. And then there is the final clock. The Dina is heading steadily toward Sri Lanka's territorial waters. If it crosses the 12-mile boundary, the Americans lose their opportunity. International law would make an attack nearly impossible without triggering a diplomatic crisis. The submarine must strike before that happens. But first, it needs authorization. Even in wartime, Submarine commanders cannot simply launch torpedoes without orders. They require authorization from command. But communicating with a submarine deep underwater is difficult. Extremely low-frequency radio waves can penetrate the ocean, but they carry almost no data. At best, they can deliver a brief signal instructing the submarine to surface its communications mast. To receive the full order, the submarine must rise toward periscope depth. That means exposing itself to radar. As the submarine begins its slow ascent, an unexpected opportunity appears. A massive liquefied natural gas tanker is passing through the shipping lane nearby. 200,000 tons of steel towering above the waterline. The submarine's captain sees the possibility instantly. By positioning the submarine between the tanker and the Dina, the smaller radar reflection from the submarine will disappear inside the tanker's massive radar signature. From the Iranian radar operator's perspective, it will look like nothing more than background clutter. The submarine rises. A thin communications mast breaks the surface. Seconds pass. Then the message arrives. Authorization confirmed. The submarine slips back beneath the thermocline. Now the hunt is over. At 4:53 in the morning, the weapons officer completes the final preparations. Inside the torpedo tube sits a Mark 48 ADCAP torpedo. More than 3,000 pounds of steel, electronics, and explosive power designed for one purpose: destroying ships. The tube floods with seawater. Moments later, the torpedo launches. It accelerates silently through the ocean, guided by a thin wire connecting it back to the submarine. Through that wire, the crew can steer the weapon across miles of open water. For several minutes, the submarine must remain almost perfectly still. Any sudden movement could snap the wire and leave the torpedo blind. 7 miles away, the weapon closes in. At 2 miles from the target, it activates its own sonar. Inside the Iris Dina, the sonar operator hears it immediately. A sharp electronic ping echoing through the water. The unmistakable sound of an incoming torpedo. The alarm sounds across the ship, but there's almost no time left. The torpedo races beneath the hull and detonates directly under the keel. The explosion forms a massive bubble of superheated gas that lifts the entire warship upward out of the ocean. For a brief moment, the ship hangs suspended without the support of water beneath it. Then gravity takes over. The keel snaps. The vessel breaks in half and disappears beneath the waves. By the time rescue crews arrive hours later, only scattered debris remains. Far below the surface, the American submarine has already turned away and vanished into the darkness. The ghost that ended the battle slips silently out of the strait. And in that quiet moment beneath the sea, control of one of the world's most important waterways changes hands forever.